What are the 5 keys to success as an early career professional? Stick around and let's talk about it here today on this episode of Navigating Academia. What's up, everybody? My name is Dr. Phoenix Singh, and I want to warmly welcome you to this episode of Navigating Academia, your leading source for guidance on how to advance your career in academia. As always, I appreciate the love, so please do take a moment to like and share this video with your friends, with your colleagues, with your students. Hit that bell and subscribe to be able to make sure that you hear every time that we end up posting new original content, and follow us on these social media accounts. So let's jump right in. Congratulations on receiving your doctorate. This is such a huge deal. It is the end of a road that you have been on for years and years, and now I know it can be kind of frustrating to realize that even though that's very cathartic, you're at the beginning of a very long path, a very long runway in career. So what we want to do is to be able to make sure that we can really focus on how we can best succeed, what's the highest likelihood of success that we can attain as an early career professional, those first 5 to 10 years of being out of the doctorate. The goal of this video is essentially to be able to give you 5 keys, from where I stand at least, that you can follow to be able to maximize that likelihood of success. So let's get to it. Key number 1 is to take advantage of the optics of succeeding and being good at what you do when you're young. Let's say that I've got 2 professors, Professor A and Professor B. Okay, now both of them have published 15 papers. All right, now the first professor has only been in the field for 3 years. The second has been in the field for 30 years. All right, which one am I going to be impressed by? Well, I'm going to be significantly more impressed by the individual who's only been in the field for 3 years. Why? Because I wouldn't have expected them to be able to churn out that many publications in such a short period of time. My assumption would be, well, they're young, so that must mean, well, what implicit biases would you have, right? You would say they're young, and that probably means that they're focused on other things. They want to be going out, they want to be dating, they want to be getting married, they want to be having kids, they want to be, partying, whatever. They want to be going out, they want to be doing stuff, they want to be living their life, etc. They're not going to be publishing as much, or maybe they have less to say, right? They don't know how to publish yet, people may think. They're not a big name in the field, whatever it is. Maybe you're publishing with big name people. Oh, well, publishing with big name people, whatever it is, right? They're going to have these implicit biases against you. So if you can overcome them, this all of a sudden means that you're the exception to a rule that they've created, and that makes you stand out more than other individuals. Obviously, the optics will be totally different if you have been in that field for, decades, and then all of a sudden you have that many publications. Then it's kind of like, well, yeah, good. Not impressed. That's what you should be doing. Right? So in that case, it won't be impressive. This is why you got to take advantage of those optics, right? That success and being good at what you do when you're young, that's weird in a good way, right? You want to take advantage of that. You want to be that good kind of weird. So that is key number 1. Key number 2 is to be able to build a research line in a niche. It's not just conducting one study in a subfield. No, this is something where you want to say, I'm going to build a little Lego house. And each one of these studies is going to be a brick in that Lego house. And by the time that I'm done with it, I'm going to have, this beautiful house that I built, or if nothing else, a door or a wall or something. But it's not just going to be an individual brick, an individual contribution, and especially won't be an individual contribution to some massive field where you're doing something generic. We want to build in a very specific line. That's what they call a research line, building it down into that niche. So for example, you can have somebody who they're focused on PET scanning, so positron emission tomography, PET scans of the brain that specifically have to do with child abuse in children between the ages of 6 to 12 years old, and they have to be Somalian immigrants living in the Twin Cities area of Minnesota. There you go. Very specific research line, right? But obviously something that can really be built upon, provided that you have enough participants over enough time. Your hypotheses are broad enough. You're using pieces not only to test hypotheses, but to generate other ones. You're bringing more and more people into this. You get your own graduate students, you get your own postdocs, you get your own undergraduate lab going with research assistants. You get all of these individuals and these different pieces together, and all of a sudden you're going to have a thriving research line as time goes on. And you want to build that as an early career professional such that it is a self-sustaining mechanism. And not only do you want to build that yourself, but you want to collaborate with folks from other universities, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Key number 3 is to develop a reputation for innovation, and this can be methodological innovation or theoretical innovation. So for example, in a field that I used to be in, which was called violence risk assessment, it was all about taking these checklists, and the checklists were used to predict whether or not a given patient or offender would be violent once they, let's say, went back to the community, let's say. And as you can imagine, there were literally hundreds of these checklists, and there was research literature on a lot of them. But what happened was that they were all using pretty much the same methodology, and the methodology wasn't great. It was really easy to be able to run that methodology, but it wasn't the most effective thing to be able to get clinicians, especially, the clinical information that they would need to be able to judge whether or not they would want to use those instruments. So one of the strengths that I had was to develop a reputation for methodological innovation, where I would go in and write full methodological primers on here's different ways to do this. I even developed my own statistics that I put into the field that other people still use to be able to actually, look at these checklists in a totally different light. So that became a strength of mine that I became known for during my early career professional years. But it doesn't just have to be methodological. It doesn't have to be that somebody has to recognize you as the expert on Poisson distributions or on hierarchical linear modeling or whatever it is. It could be that you've just developed an expertise in a specific theoretical orientation on something that's like really, really hot. So for example, let's say that you're working with a certain type of client and you really get into trauma-informed care, and all of a sudden all your stuff is trauma-informed care, and you end up contributing to the theoretical literature on trauma-informed care. This can be a huge thing for you. Try to figure out really what's hot or what is kind of a big topic where you can come up with a hot angle on, or apply something that's sexy in another field and apply it to something that's in your field that nobody's really talked about. Because the more you can do that, the bigger of a name you're actually going to build for yourself, and that is of course never a bad thing. Key number 4 is to collaborate outside of your graduate school network. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's say that you were doing graduate school at University of Virginia. I was born in Virginia, right? So you're at University of Virginia and you've got a cohort, and your cohort is of 10 individuals, and then you got all the faculty members there. Obviously, you're going to know those folks very well. And of course, we do business with people that we know, we like, and we trust. And so those folks, we're probably going to know, like, and trust them quite a bit. They're going to have similar jargon that we have because we learned from the same teachers in the same classes, the same workflows, etc. So it's going to be so comfortable working with them. But during this time, we really want to expand our horizons and be collaborating with people who are outside of that graduate school network, not the faculty, not the students, etc. We want to be branching out. Figure out who are the other key players in our subfield, and then really be pushing forward and reaching out to them, being proactive. Never sit around and wait for somebody to approach you. The likelihood that it's going to happen is really low. Try to be creative in building your own social capital and then deploying it to get more opportunities with bigger name people, with bigger name publishers, higher impact journals, you name it, right? This is something that you can do. You can do it independently. Trust me, that's how I did it, and you can do it as well. And finally, key number 5, not exactly a shocker, is grind. Now is the time to grind in your career. Your early career years are the ones where, remember, what we've talked about in this video, nobody's expecting you to do exceptionally well. So if you really push it and make a name for yourself, you do innovative work, you work with a lot of people, you build your network, you are going to set yourself up for life in terms of your career. I want you to think about it like going on diving board, right? The question is not how high do you jump, it's really, how far are you pushing down on this thing, so that when you do launch, how high can you go to be able to then kind of go into the pool and score all your points. This is that idea. You're revving things up here at this stage in your career, and it can really make your entire career if you handle it properly. Now, per usual, this is going to require a lot of sacrifices in your life. A lot of things that, other people, they're going to be going out and having fun, they're going to be doing these things. You're not going to be able to do them, and it is what it is, and it's making a trade. Life's all about trades. But if you're willing to make that trade, let me tell you, you're going to live a life down the line that none of those other people will ever have dreamt of. All right, everybody, thank you so much for stopping by. As always, I appreciate your time and also appreciate you liking this video, commenting below, even a tiny little comment. I enjoyed this video, whatever. It's going to really help us out with the algorithm, so please do help us out there. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit that bell, and share the video with your friends, colleagues, and students. If you want to work one-on-one with me so that we can specifically talk about where you are in your early career professional journey and different ways that we can strategically get you set up to be able to make the most of that time, then free consultation call with me via the website below, and let's chat about a coaching plan that we can explore together. Signing off, y'all. Thank you so much, and remember to get out there, take chances, and be your best self. Thank you so much for stopping by, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here as always. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more in this series on navigating academia, please click on one of these links over here to be able to view more original content. I hope to see you there.